The Fortnite storyline is kind of a mess. Even as someone who's genuinely interested in it, some parts are just completely incomprehensible. So why not do a little summary of it together? Also, yes, this is the first video with my voice. Hi, how you doing? Also, this video will be primarily focused on Chapter 1. Chapters 2 and 3 will come later. Alright, let's get into it. So, surprisingly enough, the Chapter 1 lore does not start at Season 1. Since Epic Games almost definitely didn't create the game with the story in mind, we actually begin in Season 3. For the past 3 seasons, island residents have been sadly watching 100 people drop from the sky and proceed to violently kill each other, while destroying everything in their path. However, one day, something new appears in the sky, a comet. As the giant space rock gets closer, the residents of Tilted Towers go into panic mode, thinking they're going to get hit. Meanwhile, in the real world, MatPat theorizes that, based on the speed and size of the meteor, nothing could actually be destroyed by its impact. But Epic Games doesn't care about the laws of physics, so the meteor comes crashing down, completely avoiding Tilted Towers, and instead erasing Dusty Depot off the face of the map. So thanks to a bunch of space rocks, the map has now been turned into Swiss cheese. Homes have been destroyed, lives have been lost, and the citizens are almost certainly shell-shocked. But, in the face of disaster, there will always be someone trying to make a profit, so a film crew who caught the meteors falling on film decides they're going to turn out a superhero flick and make a ton of money off this tragedy. In real life, Epic delegates this task to the community, and the exorbitant sum of money is paid out to the winner in V-Bucks. Anyway, it turns out there was a man inside the space rock, and his intentions are unknown. No, I'm not kidding, that's actually his description. His master plan is to take all the meth rocks that were created by the impact and use them to get high. By which I mean he powers a prop rocket from the movie with them and blasts off into space, but not before hacking the island TV network to broadcast exactly when and where this is going to happen. So now that Team Rocket has blasted off again, it's time for him to create some chaos to further the lore. Apparently those meth rocks give the rocket the extra special power of being able to travel between dimensions. So, after a Tilted Towers destruction fakeout, Walter White blasts out of Loot Lake and creates a giant hole in the sky. Why did he do that, you ask? Don't you remember his intentions are unknown? Who needs character motivation when you've got that? But seriously, don't forget about that guy. He's a surprise tool that'll help us later. Anyway, the massive sphincter in the sky begins to cause problems, and famous Fortnite items start mysteriously appearing in real life, most notably the giant hamburger in the middle of the desert. So now that the fabric of space and time has collapsed, things start changing around the island. The swamp turns into a desert. A Viking village appears on top of a mountain that the community aptly names Viking Village. And a farmer is evicted from his land so the government can build a new golf course for old retired guys and business people to hang out at. The story this season follows a guy named Drift, who, lore-wise, is a guy from the real world, but actually isn't. At least, I hope Epic didn't kidnap some random guy and shove him into Fortnite against his own will. Anyway, Drift basically goes on a road trip with some new friends and progressively levels up his power until some agent guys from a mysterious organization show up with some missing objects. These guys seem random right now, but just wait 10 seasons and they'll be important again. Funnily enough, the same goes for Drift, except for him you need to wait 19 seasons for an explanation of his group. But they get a name in 10 seasons, so it's all good. Anyway, the dimensional activity caused by the definitely not IO guards causes the giant anus in the sky to prolapse and turn purple. The prolapsed sky anus is not feeling too good, so it starts to shoot out lightning and creates a giant purple cube. This is either random, or explained in 12 seasons if you believe JJ Guy from Twitter. It turns out the giant cube is alive and starts rolling around the island and depositing energy in certain spots before drowning itself in a lake. I should warn you now, this is not the weirdest thing that is going to happen. So it turns out the purple cube isn't dead and has reformed under the Loot Lake Island. The cube island starts flying around to all those spots where it deposited energy, which are now corrupted zones. These zones are primarily known for containing an item which was disabled from the game due to glitches for most of the season. Anyway, after the cube collects all its energy, it returns to Loot Lake and explodes to create zombies. After a couple weeks of the player base getting increasingly fed up with these, the cube explodes again after dropping its energy into Loot Lake. This either means nothing, or everything, depending on how you look at it. The cube's explosion takes us to a weird Matrix limbo dimension that's never seen again, and when we return to the island, we find out that the cube's plan all along was to massively terraform Loot Lake into being a viable POI. Thanks, Kevin. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that Reddit named the cube Kevin. Anyway, after all that, a strange storm can be seen approaching from the west coast of the island, and a robot shows up. Merry Christmas, everyone! There's a brand new snow biome to explore. Visit a mysterious castle, an Arctic airfield containing overpowered planes, or a lovely town constructed on the ruins of a toilet factory. In this season, we meet the Ice King, whose chilly Canadian kingdom crashed into the island. How did he get here, you ask? Wait 15 seasons and read a tie-in comic, says Donald Mustard. Anyway, the warm climate of the island is starting to melt the Ice King's castle, which he doesn't like. So he takes a piece of the cube and uses it to freeze the island in an event so bad it wouldn't be topped until Fracture 3 years later. This event creates more zombies to irritate players and doesn't even end up mattering because the Ice King's castle melts anyway and the Fire King escapes his prison. Welcome to the jungle. The Fire King escaped and now there's a massive volcano on the island and a hot tropical biome. Also, there's pirates. Also, the government is digging around Loot Lake. Anyway, after the players complete menial tasks to get these keys to the vault under the lake, and lava engulfs the island in the greatest LTM ever, it seems the vault is ready to open, and the volcano is ready to erupt. And guess what? That's what happens in 50% of servers. Great job on that one, Epic. Hopefully nothing bad ever happens to servers during an event again. Anyway, if you were in the lucky 50% of servers, you got to see a giant ball, which some say is the energy that the cube dropped into the lake 2 seasons ago, a desk with a surprise mask that will help us later, and the player base unvault one of the strongest guns. Then, the volcano erupted, destroying half of Retail Row, damaging Polar Peak, and finally, absolutely annihilating Tilted Towers. So starting off with Jonesy eating Peely in a surprisingly dark trailer, we realize that some time has passed, and the island is now futuristic. The person responsible for all this new technology is Singularity, the woman who owns the helmet we saw in the vault last season. She's connected the entirety of Neo Tilted to the vault for infinite power, and Retail Row is now a giant shopping mall filled with collabs. However, it turns out that not all is well, because over at the iceberg, a giant eye is peeking out at us. Yep, the whole time there was a monster under Polar Peak. Realizing that it's only a matter of time until the monster escapes, Singularity built a giant mech that definitely wasn't inspired by Pacific Rim. Come the end of the season, the two beasts battle it out for the fate of the island with surprise twists and tense moments. Yep, this event was actually good. Nice change of pace after watching the Ice King come all over the island, or having the event not happen in half the servers. Anyway, in her darkest moment, the mech pulls out the glowing ball from the vault, and uses it to power up and defeat the monster. With her work being done, the mech blasts off into space, leaving the glowing ball, named the 0 Point, free to destabilize time and warp reality. Last season of the chapter, let's go. So basically the 0 Point explodes, and after a trip through the purple time dimension, we return to the island to find it frozen in time, with the meteor about to hit. We finally see the return of Walter White from Season 4, but this time he's dummy thick, and the claps of his ass cheeks keep destabilizing reality. Walter White, who's actually named the Scientist, creates a bunch of devices that alter our favorite POIs in unexpected ways. Huh, that's weird. Once he's done with that, he calls up 6 of his friends to help fix reality by using the giant meteor to penetrate the 0 Point. The 0 Point is a little too tight to fit it though, so it explodes and rips open a hole in space that sucks the entire island into it. For the next 3 days, all that can be seen is a black hole, which causes many 9-year-olds to scream and cry, wondering what happened to Fortnite. And many lore nerds staring at the screen, hoping to see something that'll satisfy their eternal craving for storyline. Epic obliges them by flashing some numbers on the screen that spell out a message that, to this day, almost has no resolution. So there you have it. The entire Fortnite Chapter 1 lore, summarized in an extremely comprehensive way, with absolutely no jokes thrown in whatsoever. I expect to do this with the other chapters too, even if this doesn't get any views. I had a lot of fun making this, so I'll do the rest as a passion project. Anyway, that's it for now, and I'll see you later.